Vintage Toys Part 3. This is a collection of Cox model aeroplane engines. They've been in a box for quite a lot of years, so it's time to clean them up and make them work. I need a powerful solvent that's not going to attack the plastic, so I'm using WD-40 added to a tub of panel wipe, which is naphtha, and the combination of the two will clean the parts and also lubricate them temporarily. The first engine to look at is by far my favourite. Just because of the size of it, this is a Cox 010, and it's very small. If I took the propeller off it and the back plate, I could make it into a tie pin. That's not a very good idea though, because I never wear ties, well, unless I'm going to a funeral, or a wedding or similar. Thinking about it further, turning up to any of these kind of events with a model aircraft engine stuck on your tie would show a great disrespect, especially at a funeral. So it's into the tub of solvent mixed with WD-40 for the Cox 010. It's best to leave the engines in this mixture for a while for the solvent to do its work and loosen all the dirt and the castor oil residue and any other things that are stuck to the engine. The only practical application I ever found for a Cox 010 was many years ago when I built a solid balsa wood model of an aeroplane. I stuck a broom handle in the ground in the centre of the garden and flew the aeroplane round the garden tethered to it by a line. Thinking back, the neighbours must have loved me because the sound of a Cox 010 is a bit like a demented bumblebee. Or maybe a better description is a wasp on speed. As far as engines go, these are beautifully made, they run very well, start easily and cut your fingers. I soon learnt to use a lollipop stick to start these. This one's a good example and has plenty of compression. No, I'm not repeating myself, this is a Cox 020 and it's much bigger than an 010, and this one has a spring starter. The first thing to do is to submerge this in the solvent tub. It's very gummed up and the propeller would not rotate at all, so I left it in the tub for about 20 minutes. This is a clip of a Cox 020 model aeroplane engine in a tub of solvent. When I removed it from the tub of solvent and injected some more WD-40 into the exhaust port and down the air intake, I could turn the propeller very easily. Time to wind it up on the starter. Yes, that seems to work quite well. I have some spares for this engine, a different type of backplate mounting, and a spare Cox glow plug head. I've just had a look on eBay and there's quite a lot of these for sale on there. I once modified a blown Cox glow head to take a standard glow plug. That seems to work okay from 049s upwards, but it doesn't look too good on the smaller engines. The Cox 010 and 020 models, as well as some of the larger ones, use front induction. That is, the air intake is at the front with the needle valve. Quite a lot of the Cox range look like this, fitted with an integral tank and rear induction through a reed valve on the back. This is a very good idea because as your aeroplane plummets into the ground at a very high speed, you're far less likely to snap off the needle valve and fill the air intake with soil and various pieces of flora and fauna. This engine was very gummed up, and even after I took it out of the solvent bath it was still gummed up, so by very gently persuading the propeller to rotate, eventually the WD-40 freed everything up and the engine turned over okay. This clip compares the sizes of the Cox 010 with an 049, and really an 049 is a very small engine. I can't remember what sizes most of these engines were. There were 049s, 061s, 09s, and of course 010 and 020. Normally engines are measured in cc's, cubic centimetres, so these numbers just represent the cubic capacity of these very small engines. In my modest collection I do have a few 049s, I don't know where they came from, out of models usually. Some are bought via eBay. As the size of the Cox engines grows, some of them get very potent. Many years ago I was a member of a control line club, and one of the members of the club used this type of engine and possibly one a bit bigger than this in his aeroplanes. I always remember, and bear in mind this was before electric starters, he started them with a hand-cranked flywheel thing. I once felt at one of these engines and it didn't have any compression. He always had a couple of racing type planes fitted with these engines, and the RPM was ridiculously high. To this day, I really do not know how he managed to not get so dizzy that he fell over. A quick word of warning, never use pliers on the crankshaft of these small engines, or any engine for that matter. Not only will you chew up the prop driver, you'll probably also shear off the crank pin. This is a Cox engine with a difference. It has a silencer and a proper carburettor, which is at the rear. This engine was stuck fast. I left it in the solvent for a while, poured WD-40 down the silencer and down the air intake at the back. In the end, I used this method, and it's not as brutal as it looks. I am not going to run the lathe under power, but the prop driver is secured properly and will not get marked in the chuck. It's soon freed off, but a much better method is to fit a propeller and very gently persuade the engine incrementally to turn. So that's it, my very modest collection of old Cox engines. I'm thinking it would be a good idea to make a display stand. I'll think about that. It's time for me to go. I wish you all the best of health, stay well, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it interesting. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.